The defense put on its last witnesses this morning in an attempt to discredit the state's key witness, Lester Weber, Jr. The 18-year-old black youth is himself charged as a principal in the murder of Mary Stout's husband, Bryan, last June, by virtue of the fact he drove Helen Cundiff, charged with the actual killing, to the murder site. Former police officer Singletary's wife testified that she overheard a conversation to the effect that Weber had been promised a probated sentence if he would testify against the other defendants. First Assistant District Attorney Doug Mulder was called to the stand by the state and told the court that no deal had been made in his office. When this trial began last Monday, both defendants were charged on 2 counts, but by the time Judge Louis Holland read the charge to the jury this afternoon, the first count, that of being co-principals to the murder, was dropped. State's Attorney John Stauffer elected to go with the second count, that of being an accomplice to the murder. In his final arguments, he asked the jury to believe that Singletary furnished the gun for the murder and that Mary Stout, with whom he was having a, quote, torrid love affair, unquote, was in on the conspiracy, in his words, up to her ears. Apparently, the jury agreed. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judi Hanna at the Dallas County Courthouse.
Will you appeal the decision?
Oh, by all means we will, certainly.
How soon do you think you'll take that action?
We'll wait for the sentencing, and then we'll take the steps as they come after that.
You were the other partner, sir. What is your name?
John C. Thompson.
Were you surprised this jury came back in less than an hour with 9 guilty verdicts?
I was on part of it.
What part were you not surprised?
The parts that I was surprised on would have been the last 3 counts of the indictment.
Thank you very much.
And with respect to Rita Green, I was surprised about her being found guilty on all these counts.
If the people think that the way to solve this problem then is just to close down the methadone treatment clinic, they just don't understand the problem. We're only treating, say, 150 out of a figure of 3,000 to 7,000 heroin addicts. We're just barely scratching the surface, and we've had what I would consider a setback in our administration of the program, but that doesn't discredit the program we have itself and the tremendous need to approach an even expanded administration of the program.
But how can you call for an expansion of the program when you're being criticized by people who say that you did not run a tight ship with the program you already had?
My reaction would be that we've made the mistake of hiring human beings to operate our ship, and 2 of the people operating our ship have made mistakes. But the overall success record of our program, I think, indicates that it is a good program and it needs to be implemented even further.
Well, I don't know anything about Ms. Westwood's business and don't want to comment on it. With respect to my own situation, I talked this morning my home around 6 o'clock with 2 different groups of people who are working very hard with respect to my attaining this chairmanship. Each of them felt that we had a hard vote count in excess of 92 votes, and that's a very hard vote, and that we had a favorable possibility of quite a number over and above that. Now, 105 votes are the number that are needed to be a majority in that meeting.
For 8-year-old Andre Klavenix, life is going to be an uphill battle for a number of years. But already Andre has accomplished much more than was ever expected. He was in a coma for 6 weeks, and doctors gave little hope that he would ever survive. Andre was struck by a car while crossing the street near his home in South Fort Worth, July 25th. That was 4 months and 6 days ago today. The reason Andre is alive is attributed to Fred Smith, who helped wheel the boy out of Fort Worth Children's Hospital today as nurses and friends he had made said goodbye. Smith arrived at the scene of the accident on that day back in July to find people standing around saying the boy was already dead. He didn't believe it and gave Andre mouth-to-mouth resuscitation for more than 20 minutes until an ambulance arrived. Since then, Smith has received 2 awards for his heroics from the Fort Worth Fire Department and the American Legion, and more important, He knows Andre will live. Andre's parents, Emmets and Lore Klavenix, and his brother and sisters took him home today, a miracle they thought at one time would never happen. Mrs. Klavenix said that with time and therapy, Andre will be as normal as any other growing boy, with no brain damage. It was a special day for Fred Smith, too. You could tell.
Miss Pinkston took me on a tour of her high school today, guiding me down the halls and speaking proudly of her school. But it was an unusual tour because Deborah Gardner couldn't see what she was showing me. Deborah is blind and has been all her life. But as I found out as I got to know her, she hasn't let her handicap black out the seeing world. She loves being part of it.
A lot of people have asked me how I get along in class when I can't take notes from the board. This really isn't hard because there's usually someone that can read the notes to me, and I write them on my Braille writer. And this is just a simple machine with 6 keys in which I type my Braille notes. And as far as my books go, they are all in Braille. And so when the teacher is lecturing or tells us to turn to a certain page, well, I'll just turn and scan the page and look for what he wants to look for. My handicap doesn't bother me except for little tiny things. You can do anything you want to if you set your mind to it. Winning Miss Pinkston is a great honor, and besides that, it proves to myself and also to other people that blind people can do things, and it made me feel good on behalf of all of my friends that are in high school like that and are blind and would like to do something like that. And it's one strike for us.
Martha McIntyre, Channel 8 News on the Move.
In the first half, but then it wound up as a clip.
Yeah, a little fast. Yeah.
2 times 3 plus 3.
I've been here 3 years.
Everyone's got...
Yeah, it just all depends on who the judge is.
That's what I need right there.
I tell what we did. Isn't that right?
You don't need any history on it. I tried one at I would, yeah. Yeah, I would, sure. Okay, I would hope that I wouldn't trip, fall down.
I've heard about it.
They're taking apparently the 3 weeks while Dick Cabot's on vacation, and
less than 100 cents on the dollar for 50 cents on the dollar or 25 cents on the dollar.
In 1972, should ever be allowed to run?
I suspect
Mrs. Westwood says that she has enough votes to be reelected.
that the number of people with whom I have worked that over the party, the Democratic Party, but looking at it in perspective, Dave,
Slow down, slow down. He's getting over me. Yeah. Wish they wouldn't film this. Would y'all not film this?
I didn't know. I thought I'd get in the shadow.
Get the kids on, right?
Victoria yourself, hello.
Okay.
Hi. And I'm both locked in. I think it means more to me than anything. Except maybe in 1944 there were two more. I think about that.
When you were ambulance driver, medic?
No, I was a medic. I saved 2 men before.
There's video plaque. There's flag. So the citations and the plaques don't mean half as much as today, do they?
Not as this flag. I think it's a wonderful Christmas. I could ask nothing better.
One of them reported have retired, would have been chosen to be jury foreman. We will have the closing statements by the offender. If found guilty, that will be jury room. We'll find that after this, we'll turn their verdict into the jury. A civil case is different from a criminal case. In a civil case, we have what?
The chairman still has the right to reject the opinion and to make his own decision.
What we're doing is using the proceeds of the telethon, about $2 million, and trying to settle as much of the $9.5 million debt as we can. I have opinion of counsel that says that these people, having waited this long, and there having been settlements made, there having been the full payment not being very imminent, the opportunity for it now, that after waiting some 4 to 4.5 years for their debt outstanding, there's nothing improper or illegal or violation of any statute for them to accept a lesser sum in full settlement. That is,
If they're willing.
If they're willing. If not, the debt stays outstanding, Dave. And we've been able to settle about $4 million, or $4.5 million, I guess. We're getting close to that now. I don't have the exact figure. It's still going on, and I'm working on that daily.